dusk, the old orchard road turned red under the last light. A child stopped singing, stared into the grass, and forgot how to breathe.
Years later, people still spoke of the night a baby was left outside a forgotten police station, wrapped in a coat black as wet coal.
They named him Mason Red. He grew up under badge lights, case files, and the sound of officers returning before sunrise.
On the other side of the province, another child opened his eyes behind prison walls. His lullabies were locks, arguments, and whispered crimes.
The inmates called him Elias Crow. Before he learned algebra, he learned lies. Before he learned music, he learned escape routes.
At 16, Elias walked out with nothing but a paper bag, cheap shoes, and 1,000 dark maps folded inside his head.
By noon, he met Silas Vane, a one-legged street performer with a clever monkey and eyes that measured every pocket in the crowd.
Silas caught Elias stealing from him, then smiled. Some men punish talent, others recruit it.
Meanwhile, Mason solved his first murder before the adults finished arguing. He did not see ghosts. He saw patterns.
5 years passed. Elias and Silas turned a broken traveling show into a network of thieves, smugglers, debt collectors, and ghosts with real names. When a prison assault failed and 3 suspects vanished, the government formed a covert unit. 1 detective, 1 fighter, and 1 ghost from the border wars. Their first order was impossible. Enter Elias Crow's world, become criminals, and return with enough truth to bury a kingdom.
Graymore Prison did not look built. It looked poor from storm clouds, iron, and old regrets no one wanted named.
Mason entered as Nathan Cole, a thief with no family, no future, and a file built to survive questions.
In the yard, 3 men tried to scare him. Mason counted their steps, their shoulders, and the guard who looked away.
Victor Stone was already inside, wearing bruises like a uniform. He gave Mason 1 glance and started a fight elsewhere.
At dusk, Mason found the infirmary window. Behind the glass, Silas Vane smiled like a man who had been expecting him.
Silas whispered, "Crow rewards doors. Open one, Nathan, and he may let you stand near the fire." Mason did not explain the plan. Plans spoken aloud become evidence. He only watched the chimney smoke bend sideways in the storm.
Beyond the walls, Caleb Frost waited in a service truck, engine off, rain hiding the shape of his face.
At midnight, Graymore blinked. 1 corridor went black, then another, as if the prison itself had closed its eyes.
Guards ran toward the noise Victor made. Mason walked the opposite way, where silence had become the real alarm.
Silas weighed almost nothing, but Mason felt the weight of every crime attached to the old man's name.
Above them, the storm swallowed footsteps. Below them, Graymore searched for men who had already become shadows.
Caleb opened the truck door exactly once. No shout, no second chance.
By sunrise, Elias Crow knew a stranger had pulled Silas from Graymore. He did not celebrate. He became curious.
A black envelope arrived for Nathan Cole. Inside was 1 line, "Come to Briar Market after dark." Mason had opened the door. Now he had to step through it and pray Elias Crow did not see the badge underneath.
Briar Market opened after midnight, beneath a dead railway bridge where rainwater fell through the iron ribs like a broken clock.
No one sold fruit there. No one sold clothes. They sold silence, false names, and doors that should have stayed locked.
Mason walked in as Nathan Cole. His face was dirty, his shoulders loose, his heartbeat locked behind a borrowed criminal mask. Victor stayed half a step behind him. Caleb watched the roofs. Silas Vane smiled as if he had brought wolves to dinner.
At the center of the market stood a glass booth. Inside it, a man in a black coat listened to music no one else could hear.
Silas tapped his cane twice. The crowd thinned. Even the rain seemed to lower its voice. Elias Crow stepped out and looked at Mason, not like a stranger, but like a page he had already read.
"A Nathan Cole," I said, "a man with no childhood, no address, and 3 different versions of his own death."
Mason did not answer too quickly. In places like Briar Market, fear was normal. Politeness was suspicious.
"I died because it was cheaper than living," Mason said. Elias smiled. The answer was ugly enough to sound true.
Elias placed his sealed red envelope on the table. "I'll then earn your second life. Tell me which man here is lying."
4 men stood under 4 lamps. 1 breathed too slowly. 1 kept his shoes away from the mud.
Mason chose the clean shoes. A real courier would have crossed the West Alley. Only a watcher would stay dry.
The market did not explode into violence. That would have been simple. Instead, Everyone became polite.
Elias opened the red envelope. Inside was not money, not a name, but a photograph of Mason before he became Nathan.
Welcome to Briar Market, Elias whispered. I like honest liars. Mason understood then. The test had not ended. It had just begun.